For the past couple years, I've done a Meet the Artist video around January, so I figured I would do one for 2020, although I'm definitely doing this one a little bit different than my past ones. Initially, with Meet the Artists, I was doing the standard theme, if you'd call it that, where you include some information about yourself, likes and dislikes, etc., but I really didn't feel like doing that this year, so I just decided to do mine as a self-portrait of me and my cat. So this is what I'm doing for my Meet the Artist this year. I also wanted to do a Q&A video, and I thought this would be a very nice video to include that, so I combined the two. I asked you guys for questions here on YouTube on my community tab. I made a couple different posts, and I got so many responses. I didn't have an expectation, but it definitely wasn't as much as I got. I got probably around 70 to 80 questions, so thank you guys so much for all the wonderful questions, first and foremost, because that's not what I thought would come my way. But let's get right into it with the first question. I got a lot of questions asking how old am I? I'm 21 years old. I also got a lot of questions asking if I went to art school. And no, I did not. I've only taken art classes in middle school and high school, but I would definitely not call that formal art education. I don't have any intention of going to college for art because that is so freaking expensive. So no, I did not go to school for art and I am not going to. Favorite and least favorite art supplies. I got a lot of questions on those, guys. My least favorite art supplies would be acrylics. I don't understand how they work. I don't like working with them, although I do push myself to work with them. I have mixed feelings, but those would probably be my least favorite art supplies, and favorite art supplies would be watercolors. Recently, I set up a palette of Daniel Smith and M. Graham watercolors, and I've been loving using it so much, so those are my favorite art supplies right now. How long have you been making art? I know this is a stereotypical answer, but I've been making art for my entire life, basically. I know most children do some kind of art, so like that's normal, but I remember like even in middle school, I was really passionate about art and I wanted to do it as a career if I was able to, so I would say for most of my life. How old is your cat? Can you show some pictures of him, please? Absolutely. Here are some gorgeous pictures of my son. This is Aslan. We just recently celebrated his 5th birthday. We got him at the shelter a couple of years ago. We got him when he was 2 years old, and the name they gave him at the shelter was Aslan, and it was so fitting because he's a big cat. Like, he's chunky, but he's also a really big cat, and it was just so fitting, so we had to keep the name. He does show up in my videos quite often when he decides he wants to make a cameo, which I really appreciate because he is so cute, as long as he's not getting in the way. But I could talk about my cat forever, so let's go to the next one. How do you get inspired? I don't know. I don't look at Pinterest too often. I would say most of my inspiration comes from other sources of media, such as TV shows, cartoons, etc., stuff like that, music, which I don't listen to super often anymore, and other artists. I don't really go on Pinterest very often anymore for looking at references and stuff like that. Normally when I want to draw, I just start drawing and I go from there, which is not a good answer, but that's kind of how I do things. Very unplanned, very unorganized. Do you have art block? How do you deal with it? I actually haven't had art block in a really long time. Of course, in saying that, I'm gonna jinx it and get art block, but my favorite thing to do when I do have art block is redraw something I've drawn in the past. I find it very nice to do that because that way you don't really have to drain yourself creatively alongside not being able to draw and feeling bad about it in general. But that's normally what I like to do, and it does help because it gets me drawing. Would you consider making Sketch With Me videos more often? What's it like living with your boyfriend, and how is the kitty? I like watching Sketch With Me videos, but I find them boring when I make them. I feel like they're boring when I make them. So I probably will in the future do more sketchbook doodling videos, which is what I would consider Sketch With Me videos, so I'm sure they'll happen eventually. Living with my boyfriend is also so nice. It's so nice having our own space, and Aslan is doing wonderful, as I have shown pictures previously. Has anyone ever stolen your art before? On that topic, do you think art theft is more flattering or upsetting? The only time I was aware of someone stealing my art was back when I posted frequently on DeviantArt. There was one chinchilla drawing that I drew long time ago, and a lot of people ended up stealing that design and selling it on the internet. I wasn't super upset about it because it was an old drawing once I found out about it, and it wasn't a good drawing necessarily. I probably made it when I was around 13, so it wasn't anything I was proud of at this point in time. But Art theft is a mixture of flattering and upsetting. It sucks because with technology these days, it happens all the time where brands will just print your art on t-shirts, and that sucks. That's upsetting. But when it's like a 12-year-old tracing your art or reposting their art, it's like, it's a mixture of flattering and upsetting, but I think it is leaning more towards upsetting depending on the situation. And then 8art Adventure here on YouTube asked a bunch of really good questions, so I'm actually going to answer all of them. The first one being, is there a particular reason you don't show your face in videos? I don't find a need to show my face in videos. I know people get really curious about that, but like, I make art videos. I don't think my face is necessary. I also don't want to show my face because I don't want to put my face on the internet for like 7,000 people to look at, so that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. Do you feel internal or external pressure to create specific kinds of content, or do you just always make whatever you want to? Being in the position I am right now, which is I'm not doing art for a living, I'm definitely not doing YouTube for a living, I don't find any pressure to create specific kinds of content. I definitely put art before I put YouTube. I find art a lot more meaningful than YouTube, although I really enjoy making YouTube videos, but I just kind of create for myself and I'm very happy doing so. How do you generate income? Would you pursue YouTube full-time if it was viable? I work at a retail job, so that's how I pay the bills. YouTube full-time is something I would never solely do. I would never, ever want to do YouTube as a sole source of income because that's extremely unstable and that could lead to very bad things in the future. If I'm able to, I would definitely like to do art full-time, which would for me consist of online store, YouTube, Patreon, maybe other sources of income, but definitely not solely YouTube. Who are your top 3 YouTube artists and why? This one is actually really easy for me. So Arlie Bean, Juicy Ink, and Emily Artful. I'll leave links to their channel in the description below. I love all of them so much. They all have really gorgeous art and really fun, interesting commentary. And if you're not subscribed to them and if you haven't watched their videos, I definitely recommend. If you could live anywhere on Earth, where would you choose and why? This is a boring answer. I'm actually really satisfied where I am right now. I know a lot of people would choose like foreign countries and stuff like that, but I'm a creature of habit. I don't like change, and traveling to other places puts me like at that top bar of being overwhelmed, so I couldn't imagine moving anywhere super different. I'm really happy where I am right now. Do you like doing fan art more than original pieces? Kind of, honestly. I really enjoy making fan art. It's a good way for me to release like the emotions of loving something so much. I do also enjoy making original art, but fan art has always been something that I've done and I've really enjoyed. I know a lot of people don't like making fan art, and that's totally fine, but I really enjoy making fan art, so I have more fun with fan art pieces than I do with original art. Have you ever thought about doing themed videos? I actually want to do a prompt series sometime this year, maybe next year, we'll see how things go, where I would do just like a set of prompts, and yeah, pretty much that. Inktober kind of inspired me to do that since I didn't do Inktober, since I don't have the time for that. I wouldn't want to put a time constraint on myself, but I think it would be fun to do a prompt series. What size of paper do you prefer to work on, and do you have tips on starting larger pieces? I work on a mixture of sizes. The biggest I'm comfortable working on is a 9x12, but I kind of fluctuate between, I would say, 5x7 to 9x12. Tips on starting larger pieces, though, would definitely be to make a small thumbnail, a medium thumbnail, and then finally work on your large piece, because if you can't draw it small, you're not going to be able to draw it big. Do you often switch art styles? How many art styles do you have? So, this is going to be a short reply because I could honestly make a whole video talking about my opinion on art styles, but I think art styles are overrated. I have not put effort into thinking about my art style in a really long time. I think a lot of people put unnecessary pressure behind like needing to have an art style and stuff like that. I think it's a very overrated concept. However, the only exception to that is people who do art for a living and they're required to draw in a certain style for like promoting their art and stuff like that. That's the only exception. But aside from that, art styles are completely stupid and overrated. The concept of them is very unhealthy in my opinion. Moving on. Wrist pains, hand fatigue, how to deal. So I actually cake decorated for about 3 years, and in the process, I am pretty sure I permanently damaged my right hand. I'm not sure if I have carpal tunnel or tendonitis or something else going on, but Every now and then I get flare-ups in my thumb or my wrist where it's just sore and it hurts and it really doesn't feel good. And my only thing to say to that is rest. I know with my issues, eventually I'm gonna have to go to a doctor. I haven't yet because I live in the US and healthcare is ridiculous. So that's not happening anytime soon unless it gets really bad. But my only thing for that is rest. I've never experienced any pain from drawing alone, but I think the best thing would just be to take a break and rest. Have you ever had a period of time where you saw no growth in your art? And if so, how did you manage or get through it? So I've actually had a very positive mindset of my art for the past several years. I think when I felt the worst about my art was when I was in middle school / early high school. And I think the best way to deal with that is draw something you've drawn before and see how far you've come, or put yourself in the mindset of when you were younger and how your younger self would feel about your art now, because as long as you're drawing, you're improving. So you're constantly growing. Whether or not you see it, you're constantly growing in art. Do you like vermin-like animals such as rats, possums, raccoons, etc., or are cats your only thing? I love all animals so much. I know it probably looks like I only love cats because I have a cat and I'm going through a cat phase right now because cats are beautiful. I never appreciated them until I got my own cat, but I love all animals so much. I'm not a dog person, I'm not a cat person, I'm an animal person. They're all wonderful, they're all beautiful. Do you watch anime, or what are your favorite types of markers to use? I do watch anime, not as much as I used to, and my favorite markers are Copics, I guess. I actually haven't tried really any other brand of markers, but Copics are the ones I have. How long does it take you to finish a sketchbook? This really depends on the sketchbook itself, but as of recently, about 6 months, give or take. Out of all your watercolors, what's your favorite brand? I recently got a mixture of Daniel Smith and M-Gram paints, but the M-Gram ones are so nice. M-Grams are absolutely my favorite watercolor brand. Have you ever done pixel art on your channel? No, not on my channel. I used to do pixel art on my own a lot more often, but I don't draw on my computer a lot. I mainly draw on Procreate if it's digital art, so haven't done it on my channel and haven't done it in a long time. Do you use yourself as a reference / do you use references every time you draw? I only use myself as a reference when it's my hands, and I don't use references hardly at all. I only use them if I'm struggling with a pose really hard, but I hardly ever use references, which I would not recommend, especially if you're starting off. References are very good to help you figure out how things work. Did you ever think your channel would be this popular when it first started? I definitely hoped it would, but I think the part that really surprises me the most is the amount of growth I've had in my channel recently. My channel has grown so much recently, and it really surprised me because I don't understand why. But thank you so much for everyone who subscribed and everyone who watches my videos. I really appreciate it. What are your favorite sketchbooks to use? This one's kind of a weird one because I don't think I have a distinctive favorite sketchbook. If I would have to pick one, I think it would be the Canson XL mixed media paper, but I'm still searching for the perfect sketchbook for me. Tips on how to draw hands. References, just references. Don't use references of other people's drawings of hands. Try to use references of pictures of hands. I know they're sometimes harder to find, but there's so many that exist out there. Use picture references and that will help you so much. Does sketching take you a long time? I know it's a bit of a random question, but do you ever feel like you've been working on a sketch for far longer than you should have? I don't think there's any point in time where you should be like, I've spent too much time on this sketch, I should give up, because I think sketching is honestly one of the most important parts of creating a piece of art. It lays down a really good foundation, and the more work you put into it, in my opinion, the easier it'll be to finish the illustration because you have a lot more groundwork to work off of. I don't really pay attention to how long sketching takes me. I know it's frustrating when you have to erase a lot on sketches and stuff like that, but I don't think sketching takes me that much time. I think I work fairly quickly when it comes to art, but like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with spending a lot of time working on sketches. Do you play any Nintendo Switch games, and if so, which do you recommend? I do. I have a lot of Nintendo Switch games. I know you've probably played this if you're asking, but Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is such a beautiful and enjoyable game to play. I loved it so much. I'm really excited for the next one. So I know you've probably played it, but Breath of the Wild is probably my favorite Switch game. What do you do for a living? Is it art related or in the creative field? I did answer this one earlier. I work at a retail job. It is definitely not art related. Any TV shows or anime you're currently watching and would recommend? I also have mentioned this in previous videos. I'm watching Naruto right now. I have about 30 episodes of Shippuden left, which makes me really sad, but Naruto is wonderful. I know you've probably seen it, but if you haven't seen Naruto, it is actually really good. What's your favorite or one of your favorite things to draw or look at while watching? I actually don't like to listen to music while drawing. I know a lot of people do, but I like to watch like Hulu or Netflix or some show in background. I've been watching Naruto in the background right now. Thoughts on the new version of Fruits Basket and season 2 maybe? So I have a lot of feelings about Fruits Basket, and they're all good feelings. I really like how they've been taking the new series. It's so pretty. I'm so excited for season 2. Do you think you could do a tour of your art studio and a face reveal? I don't know if I'd even do a tour of my art studio. It's not really an exciting or aesthetic place. So if you guys wanted, I could do it, but it's really nothing special. Face reveal probably won't happen anytime soon, and plans for future videos for 2020. I don't plan things out at all. I only really plan my videos a week, maybe 2 weeks ahead of time. The only thing I want to hopefully do this year is the prompt series that I was talking about earlier, but that's it. When do you make time to draw/paint? Honestly, in my free time, probably like 30% of the time I actually want to draw or paint, so I pretty much just do it when I feel like it. I definitely feel bad when I haven't drawn in a while, but just whenever I'm not working and I actually feel like drawing or painting is when I get around to it. What type of music do you listen to / what are your favorite music artists? I actually haven't been listening to a lot of music lately, so I feel like the type of music question is ridiculously hard for me to answer, but my favorite music artist is 21 Pilots. It has been for a really long time. I've also been really into Kesha lately though. I got back into Kesha. I've always loved her music, but like, I just started listening to her newer stuff and I love Kesha. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists? I feel like this is a good one to end off on. My advice for aspiring artists would definitely be focus more so on having fun and enjoying the creative process of making art versus focusing on wanting it to turn out what you would consider good. I've been doing this a lot recently, and if you focus on just enjoying the entire process and having fun drawing, it takes a lot of pressure off of it, and I feel like it's a more positive experience overall. So that would probably be my bit of advice for aspiring artists. I know there were so many other questions, but this video is already really long and I had to cut it off at some point, so sorry this video is long. Sorry I wasn't able to answer all your guys' questions. I know there were so many other good ones, but like I said, it was just, there were too many. I couldn't do it, so I'm very sorry. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'll try to answer all the ones I get, and I'll go back on my community posts and answer some of the questions on there that I didn't get a chance to answer in this video. Thank you guys so much though for all the wonderful questions. I was really surprised with how many good questions you guys sent me. So thank you guys so much. I hope this was some interesting insight on me and my opinions on stuff, etc. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Sorry it was so much longer than my other videos. I knew I'd be talking a really long time. I knew it was gonna happen. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.